Assalamualaikum everyone, how are you? This is Yasir Zahi YZ live in the 9th episode of Live with YZ on PsychBrain Instagram page. At this same space, I invite new expert every week and we talk about human behaviors, mental health issues and other issues related to wellness. So today my guest will be Dr. Nyla Ansari. She is one of the most experienced and highly in-demand expert PsychBrain has. She is an organization psychologist and a psychotherapist on board with PsychBrain. So we will be talking about self-surveillance in today's episode. So what is self-surveillance? Self-surveillance is a concept that shows how people monitor their self-presentation, expressive displays, and non-verbal affective presentations. So human beings usually differ in substantial ways in their abilities and emotions to engage in expressive controls. Self-surveillance is defined as a personality trait that refers to an ability to actually regulate behaviors in order to accommodate social situations. So as more and more women are joining corporate sector these days, the focus on self-surveillance is of paramount importance. And this is on different dimensions, especially for women. We have often discussed about those external factors involved for gender bias at work. But tonight we are going to focus on how through self-monitoring, women sometimes are responsible for their own career failures. So without further delay, let's invite Dr. Nyla online and hear from her in detail what she has to say about it. So I am going to invite Dr. Nyla.
Hello, Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam, Dr. Nyla, how are you?
I'm good, how are you?
I am good, thank you. So can you hear me properly?
Yes, I can. I'm just adjusting my phone so that, yeah. Can you see me now properly?
Oh yes, that's fine. That's perfectly fine.
Is this fine?
Yeah, this is better. Yes.
Okay. All right. Is this okay now?
Okay, great. Thank you, Dr. Nyla, for joining me live with YZ in the 9th episode. Dr. Nyla, सबसे पहले मुझे अपने बारे में बताइएगा. Tell us and tell our viewers about yourself and your work in the area of mental wellness.
Okay. I am an organization psychologist as well as an academic. I'm also a full-time faculty teaching at IBA in the Human Resources Department. But at the same time, I'm also an organization psychologist. I have an MSc in organizational psychology from UK. And then, of course, then I did my another professional certification of integrative counseling. I have a diploma from UK. And besides this, I have 2 other master degrees, and I recently did my PhD in women's psychology and leadership from France. And my MSc from organizational psychology is from Birkbeck College, London. So even before I had this certification and this diploma of counseling, I was actually doing a lot of voluntary work in England, also in the school as a resource person, working with very small children who had problems with low self-esteem, and they would not be able to talk or they were silent, so would never ask for help. So I had been working with such children back then in 2005. And then, of course, after my professional certification, then I started off in 2012, and then I was seeing clients with borderline disorders and schizophrenia and bipolar disorders. And then finally, I've also spent more than 100 hours at the rehab working with substance abuse clients as a group therapist, as well as working as on one-on-one basis also. And besides this, I've also worked as a student counselor, as a personal counselor for IBA students at IBA for the last 9 years or so. So this is about me as far as my background is concerned.
Wonderful, wonderful. Quite an experience, mashallah say, and good experience and qualification, alhamdulillah. So, Dr. Nyla, the topic today is self-surveillance. It is a new topic because I was just wondering, this is something which is a new concept and people don't know much about it. So, can you please tell more about what self-surveillance is, and especially for working women, what is the importance of it?
Okay, Yasir, actually my whole PhD is based on this. It's my whole PhD is based on the self-surveillance theory that I really, worked on and developed, in fact. And I had been interviewing. My whole research is based on interviews with a few women, more than 20 women in the banking and financial industry in Pakistan. And that's where I developed this theory, and then went into in depth and found out more about it, and especially dealing with women who face challenges in their career advancement. So I was basically my whole project was based on senior women and what challenges they faced in their career advancement, and that's where I developed this theory of self-surveillance. So self-surveillance kya hai? Self-surveillance is it's a mechanism. It's a strategy, I would say, or some kind of imposed by us. It is not something that somebody does to us. It is actually done by our own selves. And it's a kind of a self-guard that you impose on your own self, as if somebody is critically dominating you, as somebody is being very, as someone, some image, some figure in your life, some thought process in your life, which is dominating you. And it's done by our own. It's like a self-policing or a self-control mechanism. Now, how does this work? There are so many factors, there are so many forces that make up this self-guard. So, for example, if it could be your own fears, your own anxiety that could influence your thoughts and behaviors, your feelings. It could be the environment, the societal influence, and of course, your family relationships, your parenting, your organizations where you work, your employer, your peers who you work with. All these act together. In fact, they are actually working simultaneously, and they become some kind of a sort of a self-imposed mechanism, a driver that literally influences our thoughts and behaviors, and actually make us comply to follow some kind of prescribed behavior. So these factors, all these forces are actually, what are they doing to us? They are telling us what to do. And it seems as if there is somebody continuously guarding our behavior, disciplining our behaviors, our thoughts and feelings. For example, how to walk, how to talk, what to wear, prescribing ideals of a particular age at which one should be married, a particular milestone for starting up a career, dressing up in a certain way, some kind of a behavior that prescribes you to behave in a gendered manner. Okay, if you're a female, then you should act passive and compassionate, and if you're a man, then you should act aggressive and action oriented. And all these prescribed ideals, they're just not one thing. They're a combination of several forces acting on yourself, and what you do as a person, you actually impose it on yourself as if you're being watched continuously by these forces, and then you behave accordingly. So this is the overall mechanism of self-surveillance. So let's say, I can give you another example. So, if you are, let's say, denying, if you are diverting from your prescribed behavior as a woman. So at times when you are a bit assertive, or when you are a bit firm as a woman, then people call you bossy. Oh my God, she's not feminine, she's a bossy woman. And then this is what, sometimes, again, it's a self-imposing feeling. Oh my God, I'm not behaving as I'm supposed to. I'm not behaving like a woman. And that's where the problem occurs, that it is a continuous process, a self-policing mechanism that guards our behavior.
Okay. What exactly is the difference between self-awareness and self-surveillance? Because it seems like same thing if we look at it.
No, there's a lot of difference between those. Self surveillance is a self policing, self monitoring
Okay.
mechanism. Okay. Whereas
Mhm.
self awareness is one of the skills that one can have in his own personality. Self awareness is a kind of a strategy or some kind of a tool that we can use to discover our own selves. Self awareness means getting to know ourselves. Self awareness means who am I, what am I for, and reflecting
Okay.
upon your own feelings. And so self awareness is a much more personalized therapy or a skill that you might have, or a strategy that you might use, whereas self surveillance is a mechanism that drives our behavior in a particular manner. So
Okay.
it's more let's say a norm that tells makes us behave in a particular manner, whereas self awareness is a much more positive terminology.
Okay. Okay. So
Yeah.
how can we assess ourselves, especially women? How can they assess themselves if this
Yep.
surveillance is leading them to
Yep.
failure, especially in the corporate sector?
Okay, so Yasir, I would just say there is no formula for that. Okay, assessment, if you want to assess as a woman, if you want to assess yourself, I don't think so there is any formula which can be applied in general to any woman. Each woman is a unique being, has her own circumstances, has her own context, has her own personality, has her own background and experience. And for assessment, she needs to understand this holistic picture of herself, where she comes from, who is she, what is her life stage, what is her career stage, what relationships she has, which context she comes from geographically, what circumstances she comes from. And I think this is once she's able to recognize all of this, once she's able to find the boundary in which she operates, that's where she starts her assessment. That's where she begins evaluating her own behavior, thoughts, and feelings. And this is the first tip that I would offer to any woman, is that if you will start comparing yourself to others, that's where the failure starts. That's where the failure actually begins, because you cannot compare yourself to another woman. Reason is that every woman would have her own set of circumstances, so you need to find out what is your context, and that's where you begin. You start you finding out yourself, reflecting upon who you are, what skills and resources you already have. And that's where we bring in the idea of self-awareness. Who am I? Who is controlling me? The question that you may ask yourself for assessment is, who am I? Where I come from? What do I do? And then, what is exactly that controls me? Is it some culture? Is it some societal pressure? Is it my own fears, my own anxiety? Is it my mood or some emotion that is controlling me? Is it my relationships? Is it that my parents are controlling me? Is it some kind of family relationship that is controlling me? So for assessment, you need to do two things. Stop comparing yourself to others, because you have your own context, if you have your own situation. And the other thing is that you need to find out exactly what is that force that is driving your behavior. What is it, that force? So is it like culture? Is it like your own self? Or is it some kind of relationship? So that's where the assessment actually begins.
All right, all right. So you
Yeah.
talk about the culture, especially for women when they come from their, family backgrounds, they have their own upbringing, they have their own culture. So that makes them, lacking in the confidence at work. So how much does that affect their career and, the overall their career life?
The thing is, you see, as I just said, that if you want to, I think if you want to build up yourself, if you want to grow and develop yourself, then the first thing that you start is with your self-awareness. And there is always a time to start. I mean, there is nothing called some kind of milestone that you have to achieve, that at this particular age I need to do this, at this particular stage of life I need to do that. It's more about starting somewhere, assessing yourself somewhere. And of course, if you want to enter into career, then you have to begin with assessment, which is your education. your what education you have, what skills you possess, what experience you have. And I think a lot to do is, you have a lot to do with your own self first. It's about how confident you are, and confident itself doesn't come all, I mean, on its own. It will always be dependent upon a few things, and the first thing is, of course, your knowledge, your education. Highly confidence is not going to help you. I mean, you need to have that knowledge or skill with which you want to start your career. And of course, as a woman, you need support. And when I use the word support, I mean family support, I mean professional support, I mean all kind of support that you need to move on in your career. And when you go to the organization, of course, you have to ask for more support in terms of training or whatever mentorship you require.
Okay. Acha, there is another one of the major issues that women face at workplace. This is about the bullying and harassment. So, can you tell something about how much does this harassment have an impact on the mental health of women, especially to move further in their career?
Okay, Yasir, that's a very good question that you asked me. The first thing I want to tell all women here is that stop blaming yourself for harassment or bullying that happens to you at work. It seems as if you are responsible for it. It seems as you have to protect yourself, save yourself, and the only way to do it is to protect your body, to protect, to wear, a certain kind of attire, avoid eye contact, avoid personal contact. So, what in the nutshell it means, as if you need to, as a woman, you need to belittle yourself. You need to reduce yourself, and the only way to stop that sexual arousal or sexual instinct of men to harass you is that you need to avoid. You need to protect yourself. You are responsible for what will happen to you. So this is a myth. So I want, the message that goes out to all women is that stop blaming yourself. You are, of course, we follow values. We are educated people. We know what to wear, how to talk, how to walk, what to do. We already know that we have our own values. So as long as we have our values, the same is expected of men also. They need to follow values too. So harassment or bullying is not something that is only, that only occurs because it's you. It's also because how men do this. So the same goes out for them. They need to respect values too. They need to be respectful of you. So the first thing that I think that I want to tell all women is that stop blaming yourself for it is you that who arouse all this in men. So I guess it's about knowing your values. Of course, we are quite educated and literate enough, and we are sensible enough how to behave and how to work, and we the context that we come from, it tells us a lot how to behave and what to wear and what to talk and what to do. This is enough. And the next part, of course, the next responsibility lies with men. Not exactly that the more you protect yourself or the more you cover yourself or you use protect yourself from harassment. It's a complete nonsense. And it's a shame. I would say it's a shame that women try to always blame and blame themselves for what happens to them. They become passive. They minimize their potentials. They belittle themselves. They literally camouflage themselves. At times they just want to hide. They just want to blend in so nobody notices them. And that's where the problem occurs. You are unable to really unleash your potentials because you are supposed to act passive. You're supposed to hide so that nobody notices you and nobody harasses you. So, this is all a social construction, Yasir. We need to deconstruct it. So the responsibility of harassment and bullying does not lie with women. And there's a concept that I discovered in my research was known as absent presence. That what women try to do is to protect their bodies, they camouflage, they speak lesser, they tend to disappear, they neutralize their presence. And this is what I call as absent presence, that you are there but you are just still not there. So, and this is what is being reinforced, I would say, by a male dominated culture. Okay, aise hi karo. This is how you should behave. And that's where women sometimes lag behind.
Okay. Since the start of this pandemic, people are working from home, and especially women are also working from home. तो उसमें हमने ये देखा कि जैसे if they might have overcome this fear like self-surveillance का once they were going to their offices, but now since so many months they are working from home, अब वापस वो उसी phase में they are going back. So how do you see this situation while working from home? Are they going back to where they started with respect to self-surveillance?
I think I would say that I don't have an answer for that in that sense that self surveillance is going to be enhanced because of the pandemic situation. But of course, it's just something that has happened to all of us, isn't it? And it has. I don't think so. It has anything to do with gender. Or besides having disadvantages, of course, it has offered us advantages also. And I would say this is perhaps the best time for women who have not even thought about taking up a career or some education, because there are problems, especially for women in Pakistan. We have problems of transportation, we have problems of commuting, we have problems of getting out of the house with so many responsibilities. So I believe one of the advantages that women have been can avail at this moment is that they can sit home and they can access the whole world, because right now all the best universities are offering education online. So many jobs are now remote, and now I think you're not left with any you're not left with any reason for not to take up work. So I think for women who are only thinking or who are just confused about whether they can take up a career, I think pandemic situation has actually facilitated this opportunity for them, and so many can come forward and start something of their own. They can do their own small home business, they can take up education, they can take up PhD, they can do master's degrees, and they can also take up work. So I think pandemics actually helped them, by the way. But of course it was I don't mean to say that it's something it's not a gendered situation. It is of course giving opportunities to men as well. So but of course women are going to make the best of it.
All right. Okay, Dr. Nyla, just tell us about how can women seek professional help in terms of self-surveillance? Is there any option for them for professional help?
बिल्कुल यासिर, देखिए, again it just depends upon what situation they are in. What I mean to say is, some of us are very literate and some of us are very good with readings. So there are a lot of self-help readings, blogs, websites where women can actually go and seek completely on. But at the same time, there are some of us who need professional advice, who need professional help. And of course, then we have so many organizations doing this. And of course, SiteBrain is one of them. It's doing a great job. It's offering, I think there's so many psychotherapists and organizational psychologists and clinical psychologists. So such a variety SiteBrain has. And it's also not expensive, I must say that. So that's why if women like professional help, they can definitely seek help in this, from SiteBrain, and there are many other organizations. And professionally, they can also take up trainings. They can also go take up mentorship. They can have mentors in their life. Through networking, at times you can solve your problems. You can seek advice. हमारे पास you have very good networks. You have family, you have friends, you have organizers, you have employers. There's so many ways women can network. Facebook है, Twitter है, LinkedIn है. LinkedIn पे you can go and you can seek help. But of course, some of us really need one-on-one, and that is seeing somebody, as a professional, some psychotherapist or maybe a counselor, and seek advice. Because, and again, I want to say something here. The moment we talk about this professional help, the moment we talk about seeing a counselor or seeing a psychotherapist, again we should challenge the myth that it's like some kind of a taboo to see a psychotherapist, that koi pagal hai, I'm pagal, or I'm crazy, or I'm mentally damaged. That's why, every log kya kahenge, what, there's some kind of stigma attached to this. So I just want to again give out this message that seeing a counselor does not mean that you are crazy or mentally retarded. That's why you need to see someone. It is also for your improvement. It's just like cleansing. You are already okay, but you need more help. You need to improve as a human being, and that's why you go up to a counselor. When we have a cough or when we have a headache, we can easily tell everybody. We can announce it and we go and see a doctor. So when we have some mental dysfunction, why can't we say that too? Why can't we just why can't we go public about it? What's the problem? We are all humans. We all face problems. So if we need professional help, what is the problem? I don't understand कि इसमें शर्माने की क्या बात होती है? So, so this is a message for everybody that seeking help does not lessen you, does not label you as mentally retarded. It's for improvement. It's for cleansing. It's for improvisation.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
So this is what we are trying to create from this platform. With these sessions that we are doing, we are trying to create that awareness that it is okay to seek professional help. Because this is what we have been seeing, that whenever we talk to the corporate clients, they say we want to get those sessions conducted, but you must wrap those sessions in fancy words that it shouldn't sound counseling or therapy sessions. So this is the stigma, and this is with multinational companies as well. This is what they are requesting us. You don't label it like counseling and therapy sessions. So we are trying to create awareness from this platform that it is always okay. We spend millions on physical health, but we don't want to spend on mental health, which is very, very important. Absolutely. So that is the thing.
Absolutely important. And I mean, the moment we start thinking about it as something to hide, of course the problem begins. But if we just accept the fact that just like physical ailments, if we have psychological disturbance, we can always seek help. Always.
Absolutely. All right. So, Dr. Nyla, any message would you like to give to those women who are now entering into the corporate sector? Any good advice for them?
Lot of advice, Yasir. Lot of advice. Okay, I want to draw attention to something that maybe women have not given a thought. Okay, I think the major message that I want to give to all women, in fact, but especially to the younger ones, is that educate yourself. Okay, it's good to look beautiful. It's nice to have nice clothes. It's nice to have a style. Even I do that. Okay? Every woman does that. But it should not become the reason for a person to be accepted. Your beauty should not take precedence over your brains. Even men do styling. Even men do follow fashion. But when they are at work, they are more focused on their work, on their competence, rather than being objectified. These industries of textile, industries of toiletry, industries of styling, what have they done to us? They have actually targeted women. And that's where, a woman starts thinking that in order to get accepted in the world, in life in general, even at work, I need to wear nice clothes. I need to look beautiful. So beauty, of course, is your right to look beautiful. You have the right to look beautiful. You're a woman. You're blessed with beauty. But it should not become the focus or the reason for your self-worth. Your beauty is important, but your competence, your skill, your education is equally important. And the message that I want to give to the young girls is that career fashion, that I'm not stopping you from that. I'm not saying that you shouldn't do, but you need to focus on your competence, your identity, your personality should be recognized on the basis of your work, of your brains, of your skills, and not because you're looking beautiful. And these industries have really targeted us, and they put these beauty first, and the worth and the skill and the competence, they become so secondary. So, working women should realize this, that if they need appreciation, they should focus more on their competence, on their work, and that's where that's where you're going to come up at the pace, or some kind of you're able to if you want to be recognized for your work, if you want to stand next to men, then in that case, then you need to focus more on your education and on your competence and your skills. So this is basically for every woman, but younger lot, I see they're too much into fashion, they're too much into styling, and that becomes, that's how sometimes women are objectified. We see it, I mean, we have live examples, we see commercials, and for nothing, we see women objectifying. So that's one message that I really want to give out to all women, that you need to fight this. You need to deconstruct the idea behind beauty. Beauty is your personality. Beauty is your attitude. Beauty is your skill. Beauty is not your physical attributes or your body only.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you very much, Dr. Nyla. You have given a new dimension to this concept, because normally we that is the truth, that we objectify women in this current scenario due to these advertising, marketing, all the corporate giants, they have been doing that. So thank you very much for giving this dimension and telling our viewers this new way of thinking. We will definitely invite you again with a new topic sometime again. Thank you very much for your time, Dr. Nyla, and wish you all the best.
Thank you so much for inviting me, and I really enjoyed talking to you.
Thank you so much. Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz.